With us now is Jay Sekulow and Bill Falloon. A real pleasure and honor
to see
have
you
you on the show.
Glad we were able to meet, work this out.
Absolutely.
Great.
Good to see you again, Bill.
Look, that's part of the regulatory environment we live in. I mean, this is all part and parcel of the same huge problem.
It is our view at this point of the IRS is there is a culture of criminality that exists within the agency, and your book points out the fact that some of these people need to go.
It is wonderful to join you, Richard.
I'd like to ask you about the persecution your uncle was subjected to just because he believed in these immense essential values.
When my uncle, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., was living, of course, I was born in 1951. So in the 1950s, I was relatively young.
What's your view on the situation currently in the ever-changing Middle East?
Well, I think we're looking at an unprecedented situation in terms of the threats Israel is facing. We are perhaps looking at the beginning of the undoing of the Sykes-Picot agreements of 1916.
Intel's 40-year relationship with Israel.
And my co-producer and host, Cheryl Martin, President of Guardians Wellness. It's such a pleasure to be with such intellect here today.
Right.
Now, you mentioned that this is one of the first times you've shared this with the media, and you said you're ready to launch. What is it that you're ready to start?
The tape that's relatively famous.
Your career just speaks for itself, but most recently involved with identity theft. Tell us about it.
Well, identity theft continues to be one of the fastest growing crimes. Everyone from all walks of life, even my mom. That's when you knew it got real, when it happened to my own mother. But it's something that is, anyone is susceptible to it.
Joining us today, we have David Schmidt and Thomas Burke of LifeWave. David, tell us a bit about your company. What exactly is this product?
This is a new technology in the field of phototherapy.
So home today to some of the most promising young scientists in every field you can think of.
Also heard you were recently involved in The Amazing Race.
We did. We were invited to shoot for The Amazing Race for, I think it was this 27th season.
Really interesting career that you've had and a lot of steps along the way.
That's true.
What are the issues that are most important to you?
Well, I focused on the environment and in particular end-of-life issues.
I'm not sure if I've ever said anything that anybody would threaten me or jail me or anything for saying. The speech that gets in trouble, the speech that's limited, tends to be more opinionated, maybe more radical.
And I'm very proud that it's in our community here in Chicago.
Mr. Ambassador, it's a real honor and privilege to have you on the Shalom Show.
Oh, glad to be with you.
So many of our viewers admire you as one of the real true statesmen in this day and age, so we are really honored.
No, I appreciate the invitation to be with you. Well, I think that the election that the United States is going to have in just a few weeks is the most important we've had in our lifetime. I think there are obviously not just domestic economic issues.
With us now is Speaker Newt Gingrich. Mr. Speaker, it's a great honor and privilege to have you
Great
with
to
us
be
today,
here.
sir.
I'm delighted to be on Shalom TV.
Thank you, sir. We are witnessing a rather dramatic time in history. Why actually are you running for Congress?
Well, I think it's a logical step. When you have done 22 years of service to your country in one uniform, you continue on with service, sacrifice, and commitment, because the oath that I took back in 1982 was to support and defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic, and to bear true faith and allegiance to the same.
Neurodegenerative diseases, but also this extends this interest in novel mechanisms to deeper questions still about how the brain generates consciousness and how, for younger people, technology might be changing the way they think and feel. But our actual bench work, the experiments we do, actually is centered on devising a better treatment, a better approach for the so-called neurodegenerative disorders.
Why I became a lawyer and the most fascinating cases that I've had over my career representing presidents and prime ministers, fascinating cases. So I wanted to share it with a wider audience.
And you were the youngest professor of law at Harvard ever.
Richard, you've been part of this media war since I met you, which is 20, maybe 30 years ago now. And you're now getting into a couple of million homes. That should make a difference in the effectiveness of the Shalom Show.
Relentlessly trying to illustrate the positives for Israel.
Well, Richard, I'm not going to just talk about the Shalom Show because you're here. I'm going to tell you that it is the kind of message that has to go on. That's what I think people are looking for, that leadership. You know, sometimes they say that those great leaders are not here. You, Shalom Show, that's the kind of leadership that has to be displayed to the world. The world is a better place.
The information age battlefield. And on this battlefield, television is the most powerful tool. But you've got to know how to use that weapon. And I think when we have programs like yours, Richard, the Shalom Show, on the air, which provide us with an agenda by which we can project the true image of Israel, by which we can deliver the messages that I alluded to, I think we can do the extra mileage that is necessary in order to bring Israel's story to the hearts and minds of the people of America.
That I heard about your program in America makes me feel so good that you are doing such a great job to represent Israel at the right picture, I don't know, even me being now in your program, it's something that I want to thank you for.
The media wanting only the negative and not the positive.
We have come with the idea, let them choose in a free way their representation, and with them we are ready to negotiate. The peace initiative of the government of Israel, in essence, derives from the Camp David Accords, to which our three countries are committed. Therefore, I hope that we'll find a way to overcome obstacles that are put on the road to peace.
The Shalom Show, on the air since 1979, is now on JLTV, bringing you compelling in-depth interviews and features with Israeli and American leaders in everything from politics to education and technology and a lot more, mostly focusing on the amazing achievements and positives.